Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and this is the 26 random questions tag. So, this tag was created by David Murphy, and as it says, it is 26 random questions, mostly non bookish. I'm not sure if any of them are bookish questions. I don't quite remember. But I've printed out the questions. We'll see what my answers are, and just kind of questions to let people get to know you better. So let's begin. The first question: what was your most recent YouTube rabbit hole? Um, I guess as far as rabbit holes go, it would be like watching historians react to historical films and film scenes. I did watch a series of those pretty recently. Sometimes I fall into rabbit holes of certain types of reaction videos. Like if it's a song or a band I really like, sometimes I'll just kind of watch a series of people reacting to that. There are a lot of really fake reaction channels out there, and I try to steer clear of those. But every so often you find something, a really genuine reaction. It's always interesting, like, listening to your favorite song with somebody new for the first time. So sometimes I fall down those rabbit holes. Two, what song is currently stuck in your head? I mean, speaking of songs. Um, I guess the one that's stuck in my head is actually from Dope Lord, which is I think, Polish kind of doom metal band, and the song's called "Hail Satan." So I'll leave a link for that down below. But it has a chorus, and last time I was in the store buying some things, I had earbuds in, and I just kind of kept playing that song over and over as I'm shopping for Christmas things. Have "Hail Satan" in my head. So anyway, that's what's stuck in my head. Three, what kind of music do you listen to the most? So this is the most. I do actually listen to a lot of different types of music. I do like, um, I do like various types of metal. Some power metal, especially Viking. I like Viking traditional type music or inspired by tradition. Sometimes I put that on. I like American bluegrass. Uh, I'd like symphonic black metal as well. But like I already mentioned, the last question, I do like various types of doom metal, like stoner doom and psychedelic and uh, things like that. Especially occult type doom, I get attracted to. The thing I listen to probably the most, though. Oh, and I sometimes will go back and listen to a lot of '90s alternative rock from my younger days. A lot of that stuff still holds up. But the most I would say I listen to is industrial metal. Um, I do like the kind of certain electronic driving beat coupled with things like static and noise and creating order out of chaos, and I like all of that. That's might be the one I listen to the most, although it's been changing over the past year or so. I've been trying to explore lots of different types of music, but I do always come back to things that are kind of darker and harder for the most part. I inevitably go back to that, especially if I'm driving. That's what I'm going to choose. Four, what is something you need to get better at? Uh, I would say keeping active and healthy. Um, I kind of go through, periods where I'm really good at it, and then all of a sudden I realize a couple of weeks have gone by and I haven't really done much. So I need to get better at having a more consistent habit with that. Um, and this will relate to another question that comes later about kids. But get better at just making sure I'm staying in the moment with my kids and not letting my mind wander. I want to make sure I can give them as much attention as possible. And sometimes, you just kind of forget to do that. And they're getting older, time is slipping by. So I need to get better at that as well. Five, do you set goals? What are your goals for the end of the year, next year? I mean, stay active, get healthier. That's certainly one of the things. That's one of the main things. Just pay attention to my health more than I have been. I think that's probably the biggest goal for me. Six, when was the last time you lost your temper? Like I said, I'm a father, so I don't know if it's always, when I think you're losing your temper, sometimes it's like somebody's going off the rails, and that's not necessarily it. But when you're a father, sometimes you can react to things more strongly that, when you think back on it, you realize maybe you should have pulled back from that. It's hard to appreciate in the moment sometimes how much your words can affect a child and what they'll remember. And so you've totally forgotten about it, but it could be weeks later, years later, and they're still thinking about it. So I would say I lost my temper like just, I think, 2 mornings ago. No, it was last week. We were getting ready. It was really early in the morning. I'm getting ready for work, trying to get the kids ready. I woke up with a splitting headache, and my daughter was just could not stop yelling things. Like everything was dramatic. Everything was the end of the world. And I had already told her a few times to stop yelling. And I think at one point I yelled back when I finally had it, and my head felt like it was going to split open. So I kind of lost my temper, but I cooled down and eventually got back to where I needed to be. But it's little things like that that I would say would occur. 7, do you swear too much? I'm not sure what's considered too much. Yeah, I'm a teacher. I can't really swear at work. I don't swear around my kids. I will sometimes if I'm with friends and we're having some drinks and stuff like that. Yeah, some swears will sometimes come out. I don't swear a lot, but I do listen to things that have swears in them quite a bit. So sometimes it feels like maybe I'm swearing and I'm not. But I don't know if I swear too much. Yeah. Do you spend too much? This is number 8. Do you spend too much money on shoes? Too much. I don't spend enough on shoes. For years, I basically would always buy the cheapest shoes that I could. And I would just wear them until you could pretty much see, the bottoms of my soles or, my feet through the bottom, or, it was coming apart. It would take me a lot to actually throw out a pair of shoes and buy a new one. I hated spending money on them. Recently, I have been buying more expensive shoes. My dog barking. I think the mailman went by. Because I found that those cheap shoes were punishing my feet. And I was feeling more back pain. I was feeling more leg pain, foot pain. And I needed something that, was just more durable, had more support. And so I have spent a little bit more extra money on some shoes, and it actually has made a pretty big difference. Although it's not huge, and we're talking like, when I say extra, I'm saying maybe I spent like around $50 or so, maybe 60 tops. I don't think I've ever spent more than that on a pair of shoes. And I've never had more than I usually have a pair of like work shoes, a pair of shoes I mow the lawn with, and just kind of a pair of everyday shoes. I don't mind getting dirty. That's usually the extent of what I have. 9, what is the worst book you have ever read? As far as novels go, I say Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. I think it was definitely one of the worst, and it was long. And nonfiction, I have read a lot of Christian apologetics, and I don't necessarily mean like the reasonable kind. Like, I've read some of that as well, but I've also read some real, like Lee Strobel, terrible. I think I have a contender for the worst nonfiction. My father, over the years, has become much farther right wing. I think part of it has to do with the fact that he's been a lifelong Ted Nugent fan. And years back when Ted Nugent came out with his book, The Nugent Manifesto, my father asked for it for his birthday. So I bought it for him because that's what he asked for. And I read most of it, and it was awful. It was absolutely terrible. Tons of hypocrisy and contradictions, and that's maybe the worst. That could be it. The Nugent Manifesto. 10. Are you a homebody, or are you more adventurous? I'd say I'm mostly a homebody. I do love to travel, but it's not like spontaneous travel. I don't just get up one day and just go leaving and explore things, or I don't go to a new country, or a new location unprepared. When I travel, I plan, I research, I read a lot about it. I like to be as, prepared for what I'm going to come across as possible. So, I guess I'm adventurous, but in a very cautious way. But I do like being at home as well. So I guess I'm kind of a homebody, except for traveling. 11, do you take naps? Sometimes. I try not to, but because, all right, so I'm a big horror movie fan, and I co-host a horror movie discussion podcast. You can kind of see the poster of it right back there. I know it's dark, but it's called the Horror Cast. And I mentioned I have small kids, and horror deals with, of course, you're watching a horror film, you're generally going to see some things that are scary, maybe graphically violent, mature, swears, nudity. They're not the kind of thing that I could just put on the living room in the middle of the day and have my 5-year-old daughter there next to me. So if I'm going to watch a horror movie, it usually has to be at night when the kids go to bed. And sometimes I am just exhausted. Like, I can't keep my eyes open by that point, and there's been times when I've had to watch a horror movie in 3 installments because I watch like a half an hour and I can't stay awake anymore. And next day I'll watch another half an hour. So on days when I can take a nap, if I know I'm going to want to watch something later, that's usually what I'll do. I'll kind of take a nap, and then by the time the kids go to bed, I have enough in me to actually sit through a whole movie. So those are the times when I'd say yes, I will take a nap. But otherwise, I try not to do it too much. 12. Have you ever been to Minnesota, the greatest state in the Union? No. Sorry, the heat is very loud in this room. You could probably hear it crackling, the radiators. No, the closest I've been to Minnesota is Chicago. That's the farthest west I've been. So no, I have not been to Minnesota. And I'm not sure Minnesota is the greatest state in the union, but we'll leave that aside. 13. Have you ever tried to emulate someone? I'm not sure about emulation. I know that my handwriting changed over time, like from high school through college, when I would see certain professors in their certain handwriting and I would adopt that sort of thing. Like, I liked the way they made maybe letter E or, or N's. And so those, I wasn't emulating them, but I was kind of taking on certain things that I liked. It wasn't directly copying. But otherwise, I don't think I've really emulated people. Just, took on aspects that I liked. What is the worst food you have ever eaten? This is 14. I don't know about the worst food. I hate seafood. I wish I liked it. I do. The aftertaste of like even fish. People tell me, "Oh, try swordfish. It's not fishy. It's fishy enough." Where in my brain, when I taste seafood, my brain is telling me that something's gone bad. Like it's rotten. The only kind of seafood I could eat is like a fried calamari or something. That's it. And I absolutely hate the smell of tuna fish. I can't stand it. When my wife makes for the kids, I don't let them come anywhere near me until they've like brushed their teeth. I can't stand that smell. So yeah, I mean, worst food I've ever eaten, it would probably be something as far as seafood for me. I don't know exactly what it would be, but that's certainly something that I've eaten that I don't like. 15. Do you enjoy bars? What kind? Are you or have you been a regular at one? I'm not a big fan of bars, especially sports bars. I hate noisy bars where I can't hear the people who are next to me trying to talk. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I can't stand that. I don't mind quiet bars sometimes. I go out with my wife. There's one nearby, but it's very rare, and we don't do it very often, especially because it's expensive. And then you have to worry about driving. So whenever we drink, I usually prefer to just have friends come over and we buy, liquors and craft beer and stuff like that and different kinds of wines. And we just drink them at our house. And that's really something I prefer. On the other hand, I will say I do like breweries a lot. So some of those are very bar-like, but they also tend to be very family-friendly. Great selection, cool atmosphere, very laid back. We can bring like board games or something like that. So I do like breweries a lot. I just don't like bars that much. 16. Have you ever been hungover? Yeah, not fun. I think the worst one I ever had was after we found out that my wife was pregnant with my son. We had friends over and we told them, and we kind of had a big celebration and we drank a lot and we smoked some cigars. It was the first and only time I've ever smoked a cigar. And the next day we had people coming to the house who they were basically testing our house for how airtight it was, right? So finding drafts in the house and covering them up. And in order to do that, they had to basically plastic up the house and put a fan through, and it was kind of changing the air pressure in the house, and I did not feel good. When the guys showed up at the door, I told them, I said, I had a lot last night. I'm not feeling too good. And the guy just said, I totally understand. I've been there. Just relax. And and I tried to relax, but that changing of the air pressure was not easy. So yes, I have been, and I generally will avoid it. I don't, when I drink, I don't go to excess. I'm very careful about, not going to bed drunk. I don't like doing that. I pace myself, and then I make sure I come down before I go to bed. 17. When was the last time you laughed out loud while reading? Oh gosh. I'm trying to think the last time I laughed out loud while reading. That one's actually really difficult. I don't always laugh at appropriate things. Trying to think as far as the last things that I was reading. Yeah, I'm not sure. One that I mentioned on a previous video was when I was reading Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee, and it talked about one of the Native Americans trying to stop a train with a rope, like with a lasso off the back of a pony, and it didn't work. He ended up getting pulled off the pony and dragged for a while. And I know I laughed out loud at that, but yeah, I don't read a lot of books where generally they're making me laugh out loud on purpose. 18. How would you label or describe yourself politically? I'd say left of center. I am a fairly socially liberal person. I am not a proponent of a lot of what's going on with wokeness and cancel culture and everything like that. I do generally lean left though when it comes to politics. 19. What was the last movie you watched? Last movie I watched was just last night. I watched The Night House by David Bruckner, a 2021 horror film. A good one, too. Very eerie, very atmospheric. A woman whose husband has recently committed suicide, and she starts to think there's an entity in the house, and it might or might not be her husband, and her husband seems to have had some dark secrets that she's unfolding. But it's a slower film. It's very atmospheric, and it does some very clever things as far as the way it shows the entity and some of the visuals, and it doesn't go in obvious directions, which is really good. So yeah, I would recommend it. I liked it. It was The Night House. 20. Do you want kids? Do you wish you had kids? If you have kids, give a piece of advice. Yes, I have kids. As I said, I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. And my advice would be patient. And this goes back to something I said earlier. Live in the moment. Appreciate every moment that you can. Try not to have your mind wandering and, barely paying attention when your kids are in the room, because they do grow fast and it does go by quick, and you're going to want those memories. So make sure that you're in the moment and you're appreciating those moments. 21. Do you get along with your siblings? Yes, I have a brother. He's 7 years younger than me, so when we were growing up, we really didn't get along. It was too big of an age gap. We were not at all in the right places in life to get along. I think I found him more of a nuisance, and then when I was old enough to actually kind of want to build a relationship with him, he wasn't having any of that. So it didn't really happen until we were both adults, and now we get along fairly well. We're very much in certain ways opposites. He was like a football player going through high school and was way more of a jock, and I totally was not in that crowd. But now we found a pretty happy medium. We get along just fine now. 22. What is a book you have serious issues with but love? I wouldn't say there's any book that fits that description. There are certainly books that I recognize, have issues, especially of their time, older books. Maybe it's about, with regard to race, or it's with regard to gender, the way women are treated. I don't know if I would call it a serious issue, because I'm reading those things within the context in which they were, or the time period in which they were written. So, I'm trying not to judge them purely based on my modern moral standards and ethical understanding. So I wouldn't say it was serious issues, but certainly any kind of classics I read, you'll come across things where you're like, yeah, that's an issue, but you kind of let it go because it's in the past. That's kind of where I would go with that kind of question. 23. What is your favorite theme song to a movie and or TV show? Well, TV, it would be Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's comfort food for me. And movie theme. I mean, I love so many horror themes. Uh, in between like The Omen and there's just too many to count. One of my favorite themes always, though, growing up, that's not horror, is the Superman theme from the 1978 Superman by Richard Donner. I do always love that theme. 24. Do you like your job? If you switch careers, what would you do? I do like teaching. I love teaching. There are, of course, things that come with the job that I would love to, modify or change, but it doesn't have to do with the actual teaching aspect. I love being in the room with the kids and having great conversations going on and seeing their understanding. There are so many good days. Even if they're tiring, there are so many good days. If I switch careers, I think I'd like to do something. I think something like museum curatorship would be interesting. Maybe just really get further into academia and try my hand more at writing history. I guess it's not too late for that. And just being a writer overall, which is something I kind of fell out of, but I've been thinking more and more about getting into, not as a career, but just as a hobby that I loved for so long that I do want to get back into. So maybe if there was another career, that was something I would like. So you could tell, obviously, I'm not thinking about money when I'm thinking about these career choices. I think I'd make even less money from switching those careers, but that's just where I go. 25. What is something you love about the city you live in? I don't really live in a city. I live in a town. It's a good sized town, but I love the history here. I live in New England. I'm in Western Connecticut. We have a beautiful village green with some historic buildings, and it's very picturesque. Various times of the year. I love the old salt box, colonial era houses and the Federalist era houses. The old cemeteries throughout the area. Those are just things that I love, the landscape and the visual history of the place. And also, I'm fairly close. It doesn't take me too long. I can get to a train station and get into New York City, right to Grand Central Station with maybe a little less than an hour and a half train ride, which is not a short ride, but still, I mean, I can go into New York City for the day and then be back home, and it's great to have that available to me as well. 26. So this is the last one. We're down to the last one. Who is your celebrity crush? I wouldn't say I have a celebrity crush necessarily. I think crush might be too strong of a word. There are certainly actresses whose beauty I admire, who I like to watch. Somebody like watch Jennifer Lawrence, or there's many of them that I certainly admire their beauty and enjoy, again, watching them. But I wouldn't say anything like a celebrity crush in a very long time. My very first celebrity crush, I was born in '81, so I must have been maybe around 5 years old or so. My first celebrity crush was Punky Brewster. Something about those pigtails and freckles, I guess, got to me then. And then I remember having one later on with the character Cindy from Just the Ten of Us, the redhead. That was the late '80s. I thought she was quite beautiful as well. And I think in my formative years, too, through puberty, Xena, Princess Warrior was probably something that that I could say maybe almost crush-like. But yeah, I wouldn't say today that I would have anything approaching something I would call a celebrity crush. Anyway, that's it. Those are the 26 questions. 26 random questions. So once again, to David Murphy for creating this. As far as tagging people, I'm always late to the game on these things, but I don't know if Mark from Book Time with Elvis, if he did this. I don't think he did. I could be mistaken. But if he didn't, I tag you, Mark, in this if you would like to do it. And how about also Erica from Passage of Time? And she hasn't made too many videos lately, but I think it'd be fun to learn more about her. Okay, so anyway, that's it. Again, thanks Dave Murphy for making this, and thank you, BookTube.